Bonjour tout le monde. So we're back at school today and it's raining, so I don't feel like walking home in the rain. I'm going to shoot this quickly and see if the weather improves and I can get home without getting soaked. So we'll do a few questions. Today I think I'm going to aim at 5 minutes, no more, and we'll see how many we get done. First one, what are your horses' names and how many do you have? I'm going to answer both in French and English as well if I can. So, j'ai un cheval qui s'appelle Nello. Donc là, c'est une photo de Nello et moi. C'était en 2006. So I've got one horse, his name is Nello, and the photo I just showed you was taken in 2006, I believe. So that was when we were still in France. Ok, ça c'en est une autre, quand on était en France, et qu'on montait encore avec un mort. So at that time, we were still riding with a bit. We've now been bitless for, I don't know. We've been bitless for probably more than 10 years because it started in France and we've been in England for 8 years. Donc ça doit faire à peu près une dizaine d'années que je le monte sans mort. Donc voilà, c'est mon cheval, Nello. Nello, ça s'écrit N-E-L-L-O. Ok. Next question. Have you ever accidentally started talking to an English person in French and they just looked at you confused? All the time. So whenever I go back to France, there's always a moment when I speak to a French person in English and either they understand but they give me that look like, I know what you're saying, but you're in France, so if you could please go back to talking in French because you're French and I'm French and like there's no reason to do this in English. Or, you know, whenever I've been in France and come back to England, there's always a moment when I just want to speak French. And it definitely happens quite a lot that I speak the wrong language to the wrong person. It happens a lot as well if we have guests over. So a few years ago, I think, I was hosting a German teacher, and it just so happens my family came to visit me at the same time. So I'm French, hosting a German teacher who was here to speak in English, and then my French family visited. So it was my mom, my dad, and two of my sisters. And my dad doesn't speak English or German. My mom speaks English. One of my sisters speaks English. One of my sisters will not speak English if I'm around. She just refuses. And then the German teacher spoke German and English. And the deal was also that I was going to try and use her presence to improve my German. And it was so hard work. I think on the last but one night we went to a restaurant all together. I just completely lost the plot. So I was trying to have conversations with my dad and my younger sister in French. With my mom and my other sister and the teacher, it was in English. With the German teacher alone, I was trying to speak a bit of German. My mom and my sister were also entertaining the German teacher in English as they could. And then the waiter turned up, or the waitress, I don't remember, it must have been a waitress. And I was just so confused. But I didn't realize I was until I spoke to her and she just stared. And then everybody at the table laughed and I was like, what's going on? They're like, you just talked to her in French. And I turned to my family and I replied to them in English, but all of them. And they're like, no, us French, waitress English. And it was just, I couldn't. It was so hard. I was exhausted. It was a really cool night, but I was exhausted. I just couldn't keep track. I didn't know which language I was supposed to speak to whom. So that definitely is super common, super frequent for me. We still have a bit of time. What do you dislike the most about teaching French? It's not about specifically teaching French, it's teaching languages. One thing I'm still not used to is having to mark books. In France, when I was at school, my teachers never marked our books. You took care of your book, you made good notes, and probably you did well in tests. And if you didn't take care of your books, you failed in tests, and that was the test. That was how they knew. But they didn't take our books in for marking, and that's something I really struggle to get used to. As those of you who are in my classes know, because I very rarely mark the books the way that presumably you should do. But that's not something, I'm really not up to scratch on that. There are other things I dislike, but the other things I don't like about teaching are just down to bigger issues that teachers all over the world will have, not just us. And that's not down to teaching French. There's really nothing I dislike particularly about teaching French, about that subject. I love it. And German and Latin. And I love the tutor time aspects as well. So no, mostly the teaching aspect is what I love. It's all the asides I don't like so much. But that's it. That's it for today. We're already over 5 minutes. And I said 5 minutes, so I've already lied. So we'll stop. If you have any more questions, put them down in the comments below. If they require research, they'll be a bit slow coming up. If they don't, then they might come up a bit faster. Let me know if you like this format as well, or if maybe next time we could do more than 5 minutes so that we cover more questions. Let me know if you'd like the answers to be bilingual, French and English, with the text coming up somewhere. Or if you'd rather I just shoot in English and speak fast, or if I just do it in French and put subtitles in English, what would you find better? Let me know down below. So comment if you have any feedback to say, like if you like the video, share with people you think might like it, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I think that's all. There you go. Ciao! Ooh, I forgot to say, like, share, subscribe, and comment. I need to figure out how to say all that, like what order.